Welcome back. Now let's shift our attention to a very serious issue which is becoming a problem amongst school children. Under a proposed new law, minors between the ages of 10 and 18 could face imprisonment if found guilty of bullying. This as the South African government is looking at new ways to combat its growth. Bullying in South African schools has become a silent killer amongst the youth. To explore this very important topic, let's welcome Mollica Maharaj, an attorney and managing director at Rahman and Rahman, Inc. Good evening to you. Thank you very much for joining us here on Newsnight. This is a very important conversation. Just a couple of weeks ago, we covered a devastating story where a young boy was allegedly forced to drink poison on school premises, and he died due to that. So bullying has been an ongoing issue that has stolen many young lives. Let's just talk about this proposed new law and what it could mean for imprisonment for minors. Also, just clarifying, has this law been signed into law yet, or is it still proposed?
Good evening, Abigail, and good evening to your viewers. So the law is proposed currently and has not been enacted yet. It is proposed, and obviously inviting feedback from the public at the moment to get various views and how the public feels about it. And I think we do have strong views on it, given that it is pretty harsh if you look at a 10-year-old being sentenced or being asked to do jail time. So for now, it is still a proposed law, given the state of affairs and given what's happening in the schools. Bullying is rife, as we know, and there's been several deaths. I think in the last 2 weeks, 5 just in Gauteng alone.
So, Mollica, with regards to what this means for someone who could be caught bullying, does that mean, how would it work? Does that mean that if my child is being bullied at school, I can take legal steps and action against that child?
Absolutely. So I think, firstly, what I'd like the viewers to take note of is the Child Justice Act has actually split children into 3 age categories, or 3 age groups. So if you're under 10 years old, a minor, you are termed to lack legal capacity. So you're so young that you are unable to probably, make a distinction between right and wrong. So you just lack legal capacity. Then it looks at children over the age of 10, but under the age of 14. And they also are presumed to lack legal capacity unless a state or a prosecutor can prove that they did know right from wrong at the time that they were acting. And then we have the age group that's over 14 years, but under the age of 18, who are presumed to have legal capacity. So if we look at this, these 3 age groups, obviously we would have to assess the case. We would have to look at the circumstances of the bully's capacity to understand what they were doing, if they did have capacity to understand, and the seriousness of their actions. And as you can see, in terms of this act, the older you are, the more accountable you are for your actions. Mm-hmm. And yes, you could face jail time, or, even a protection order could be brought against you.
But then, Mollica, in a situation like that, what then would need to be proved? Because often bullying is a sort of he said, she said dynamic. As a parent who's maybe concerned that your child is being bullied, what sort of facts do you need to prove your case?
So I think the first step is actually reporting the incident and bringing it to the attention of the school authorities, your parents or guardians, and documenting, what has been happening. So reporting it is the very first step. And I think the first time it happens, it's very important to report it to make the authorities aware. And once it's reported, then starts the entire legal process, or the legal steps, where you would get South African police services involved, or a social worker to intervene to start documenting and assessing this case. So obviously, from the complainant to the perpetrator, who's the bully, everything needs to be well documented, so the case can be assessed and what would be the best outcome. Mm-hmm. In some of the cases, a remedial action, or the bully is referred to some sort of counseling or therapy. And in some instances, cases are dismissed as well because, as you said, he said, she said kind of thing, but it's not actually factual, and it's just, baseless complaints where somebody's starting to stir trouble. So that's why these cases have to be assessed thoroughly and with the correct authorities and people involved.
Mollica, often parents would say that they've, reported to the school and the school fails to take action, the school fails to do anything. In such an instance, will this specific law then cover the implications towards the school? Will there be any implications if a school is found not to have taken action?
Absolutely. So we do have the South African Schools Act 84 of 1996, which was implemented. And the purpose of this act is to hold public schools and governing bodies accountable, whereby they must compile a code of conduct that regulates students' behavior as well as performance. And the purpose of this is just a basic set of rules governing, what are the steps or rules that are being taken when there's inappropriate behavior, when there's bullying, and what are the appropriate actions or sanctions that have been implemented by the school. So if a school does not act timelessly, they can be held accountable, and a case can also be brought against the school as well.
Just in conclusion, Mollica, I think a law like this it would be a real eye-opener for parents, because often parents are the parents of a bully, or their child is being bullied. So it's very important to have these sort of conversations with your child, because going forward, it could be possible that your child could be seeing the inside of a jail cell if this issue is not dealt with.
Correct. Also, not just seeing the inside of a jail cell, I think it's actually having an impact on your entire future as a child.
100%.
If you're 10 years old, 14 years old, 18 years old, you got your whole life ahead of you. You're still going to apply to colleges, universities, you're still going to join the workplace. And such things, when they come in the public eye, and as we know, today our lives are ruled by social media, and nothing's hidden, everything's out there. So if a recording is made, if pictures are taken and it's put out there, it has a huge impact on that child's future and their lives. And I urge parents, to be involved. You cannot turn a blind eye to your child bullying somebody, because you as a parent, if you're aware of this as well, you can be joined as an accomplice if it results in someone committing suicide, or your child actually, taking somebody's life. So it is quite serious, and I urge parents out there to please be involved, know the laws, stay up to date, and cooperate with the schools when such instances, is brought to your attention and there is a problem at hand.
Just lastly, and very quickly, Mollica, what sort of steps as a parent should you then take? Would your first step be to hire an attorney? Would your first step be to go to the police if you are finding a situation where your child is a victim of bullying?
So your first step should be starting at the school, informing the school authorities, getting the school counselor involved, and engaging the help of the school. If that does not help or does not assist, then yes, you can engage an attorney, but that might be very costly and not affordable to everybody. So you're more than welcome to approach South African Police Services, and they'll also bring in a social worker to assist you, which is a more cost-effective and a very easy way to assist you deal with the problem. But I always say the first step is to start with the school, because the school is there to help and intervene, and they do have, an act in place that compels them to assist parents.
I see. Well, thank you very much, Mollica, for sharing your insights. It's a very important discussion and conversation. We appreciate your time and your insights as well. That was Mollica Maharaj, an attorney, talking to us about this proposed law that could see minors being held accountable for bullying in the form of imprisonment. Very interesting but important conversation. But moving on now.